Imagine spending like $100,000 designing the most beautiful physical storefront in your city.
Oh yeah, getting the perfect window displays, the lighting.
Exactly. You meticulously angle the lights to catch the eye, and the signage practically begs people to walk inside.
Right.
And then you find out your most important customer doesn't have eyes at all.
Wait, what do you mean?
They're a blind robotic building inspector, and this robot completely ignores your beautiful window dressing, walks right past your mannequins, and, well, aggressively inspects the foundation bricks of your building to see how you structured your plumbing.
Wow, okay. That is quite the visual.
Right, but if that robot can't read your blueprints, the human buyers you actually want to reach are never even given the address to your store.
You know, it's a jarring realization for a lot of companies right now.
Yeah.
Because we've spent, what, the better part of 2 decades optimizing the internet for human psychology?
Yeah, visual persuasion, pretty websites.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're suddenly moving toward a web built primarily for machine parsing, and it's happening way faster than most digital strategies can adapt.
Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to basically shortcut your path to understanding how artificial intelligence is fundamentally rewiring business marketing and internal operations.
And this is happening right now as we sit here in early April 2026.
We're looking directly at the strategies you need to navigate this shift without, getting bogged down in the hype.
And we've pulled together a really fascinating stack of sources for you today to do just that. We're looking at recent research notes, synthesizing on-the-ground reporting from Digiday, Marketing Brew, Search Engine Journal.
We've also got some stuff from The Verge, TechCrunch, and Search Engine Land.
Yeah, so we're really getting a cross-section of the entire digital economy, from top-of-funnel discovery all the way down to back-office operations.
We're going to cover everything from the hidden truth about AI referral traffic and why the raw numbers might actually shock you to the very real danger of junk leads completely ruining your automated advertising dashboards.
It's a packed one.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start at the very top of the funnel. Like how people are discovering information and, more importantly, how businesses are actually spending their money right now to capture that attention.
Right, because the money tells the real story.
It always does. And according to Digiday and Marketing Brew, AI discovery is no longer some fringe experimental side project. The experimental phase is over.
Completely over.
Yeah.
The transition from test and learn to permanent budget line items is happening so aggressively. Digiday actually reported that expansion budgets for AI-related tactics are moving closer to 25% for some agencies.
Which is just a staggering reallocation of capital. I mean, they specifically highlighted a company, Poco.
Oh yeah, the pet brand.
Yeah, Paco just added a full 10% to its Q1 budget specifically for AI and AEO. That's answer engine optimization, for those keeping track.
10% of a Q1 budget isn't just walking around money.
No, not at all. That means they're actively pulling funding away from traditional proven channels because they see a structural shift happening in how consumers find products.
And the platforms themselves are fueling this pivot. Marketing Brew points out that the major players are currently laying down the heavy plumbing for what they call agentic commerce.
Agentic commerce, that sounds very sci-fi.
It does, but it's happening. We're seeing things like Google's Universal Commerce Protocol rolling out across AI mode and Gemini. We're moving away from users typing simple, fragmented keyword searches and just hoping for a good blue link.
Right, the old way of searching.
Exactly. Instead, the platforms are building branded business agents that function more like virtual sales associates. They can actually process long, complex conversational queries and retrieve highly specific data.
Which brings me right back to that blind robotic building inspector analogy. Because right now, for your business, the new reality of website design is basically like trying to stage an open house for two completely different types of buyers simultaneously.
It's a dual audience problem now.
Yes. On one hand, you have the emotional human buyer walking through the front door. You need to persuade them with beautiful aesthetics, social proof, great copywriting.
But walking right beside them is that AI agent.
Exactly. And you have to hand that agent a perfectly formatted clipboard of structured data. But let's pause here because structured data is one of those buzzwords that gets thrown around a lot.
Sure.
What does that actually look like in practice for AEO versus, say, traditional SEO?
Well, it really comes down to machine readability. Big brands have historically relied on domain authority, right?
Yeah, having the biggest megaphone.
Right. Google would rank a massive corporation over a local shop simply because the massive corporation had more backlinks and prestige. But an AI agent trying to formulate a direct answer doesn't inherently care about brand prestige.
It just wants the fact.
Yes, it cares about certainty and data structure. So, if a local shop uses flawless schema markup, meaning they've explicitly coded their business hours, return policies, pricing tiers, and FAQs in a standardized format like JSON LD, the AI can scrape that instantly, and it will confidently recommend them.
Over a Fortune 500 company that just hides all its technical specs inside a beautifully designed but entirely unreadable PDF.
Precisely. The AI wants the raw data cleanly labeled. If you don't provide the clipboard, it won't guess. It'll just move on to the competitor who did.
Man, that's wild. But here's the thing. We have to look at the actual numbers. Because if we look at the data from Search Engine Journal, we get a very necessary reality check.
Yeah, the data paints a very specific picture.
It does, yes. Gemini referral traffic to websites surged by 115% between November 2025 and January 2026.
Massive jump.
And yes, Gemini is currently outpacing Perplexity globally by 29% and by 41% here in the US.
Those growth curves look incredibly steep on a chart, like straight up.
They look like an explosion of traffic until you zoom out, because Search Engine Journal also notes that ChatGPT still completely dominates the AI search space with about 80% of all AI referral traffic.
Which is a monopoly, essentially.
Basically. But here is the truly shocking statistic for you, the listener. When you combine all of these AI platforms together, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, all of them, they make up just 0.24% of global internet traffic.
It's barely a drop in the ocean. The vast, overwhelming majority of traffic is still flowing through traditional search engines and direct navigation.
Okay, I have to push back on this then.
Go for it.
Because if I'm a CMO and I'm looking at a dashboard showing me that AI agents represent less than 1/4% of the entire internet's traffic, shifting 10% of my budget toward it, it sounds like corporate malpractice.
It does sound crazy when you put it that way.
Right. Why on earth would a company burn current capital optimizing for a robot inspector that only represents 0.24% of potential foot traffic? Isn't that just wasting money on a theoretical future instead of driving actual measurable sales today?
What's fascinating here is that this is the exact debate happening in boardrooms right now. It totally looks like a math error until you understand the underlying strategy the sources highlight.
Which is what?
The first mover data moat. Because the traffic volume is so small right now, the rules of answer engine optimization haven't fully solidified. The concrete is still wet.
Meaning the big players haven't fully monopolized the space yet?
Right, and more importantly, AI models train on historical interactions. If you establish your brand as the definitive, machine-readable answer for your niche today, the AI learns to trust your data over time.
Oh, I see.
So the smart move isn't abandoning your traditional SEO. You still absolutely need that human traffic driving revenue. The strategic play is setting up your AI referral tracking infrastructure and schema markup right now. You need to establish a baseline while the traffic is at 0.24%.
Because eventually it's going to spike.
Exactly. When that dam inevitably breaks and AI referrals jump to 5, 10, or 20% of global traffic, you'll already have the historical authority and the optimized plumbing in place to capture it immediately. Your competitors will be left scrambling to understand why their traditional search traffic just evaporated.
You're essentially buying real estate in the desert because you saw the blueprints for the new highway.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's a long-term play.
Okay, so let's say you've done everything right on that front. You've optimized your site for the AI bots. They're successfully reading your data, and they're starting to send human users your way.
Great problem to have.
Definitely. But once those humans actually arrive, we had a totally different friction point. Because as the internet fills up with these AI agents and generated content, humans are naturally becoming deeply skeptical of everything they see online.
Trust is at an all-time low.
Exactly. How do you signal to a potential buyer that you, the business owner, are actually real?
It's becoming a severe digital trust crisis. And The Verge published a really insightful piece looking at the current labeling chaos, trying to solve it.
Right, the whole AI-free thing.
Yeah, creators and businesses are desperately pushing for AI-free and human-made labels for their text, images, and videos. They're demanding these because the current technical disclosure systems are completely failing to build any actual trust with consumers.
They mentioned C2PA credentials specifically in that article, and this is one of those technical acronyms we should probably break down. What exactly is a C2PA credential, and why isn't it working the way Meta and other platforms hoped it would?
Well, the intention behind C2PA was actually quite elegant. It stands for the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity.
Okay, a mouthful.
Yeah, quite a mouthful. But think of it not as a visual sticker on a photo, but as cryptographic metadata baked directly into the file's code. It's supposed to act like a digital passport.
So it travels with the file.
Exactly.
Right.
From the moment a photo is taken by a camera or an image is generated by an AI, the C2PA standard writes an invisible, tamper-evident history into the file, tracking exactly where it came from and how it was edited.
I mean, that sounds foolproof on paper.
On paper, yes. But, as The Verge points out, the real-world implementation has been a total disaster.
Really? Why?
The metadata is incredibly fragile. If a user takes a screenshot of an image, or if a social media platform aggressively compresses the file to save server space, that cryptographic hash often breaks or gets stripped away entirely.
Oh, wow. So just uploading it can ruin the passport.
Yeah. Plus, everyday users don't know how to click into a file's metadata to check its digital passport anyway.
Which has led to a total free-for-all on the front end. I mean, The Verge counted at least 12 different competing, visually distinct AI-free labels hitting the market right now. 12.
It's chaos.
So what does this all mean? Honestly, it reminds me of the early days of grocery store food labeling.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right, think about walking down the cereal aisle a few years ago. You had a dozen different stickers screaming at you. Organic, free range, all natural, non-GMO, locally sourced. Half of them meant nothing legally, and it didn't build trust. It just created massive label fatigue.
Consumers just tuned it out entirely.
Exactly. Aren't digital consumers going to get the exact same label fatigue trying to navigate if a promotional video is 100% human, 80% human, or AI assisted?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the fatigue is absolutely inevitable. We can't expect consumers to parse a dozen different authenticity badges.
Right.
But the strategic takeaway here, especially for SMBs like local home services, healthcare clinics, boutique legal firms, or premium retail, is crucial. If you're in a trust-heavy industry, your customers are inherently looking for a reason to believe you're competent and real.
They want to know there's a human behind the screen.
Exactly. And what the sources suggest is that the exact label you slap on your website doesn't matter nearly as much as the undeniable contextual evidence of your humanity.
Evidence over labels. What does that actually look like in practice?
It means verifiable authenticity is replacing high-gloss production value. In a world where anyone can generate a slick, perfectly lit AI image of a plumber fixing a sink in 3 seconds, that kind of stock imagery is now treated with immediate suspicion.
Oh, for sure. If it looks too perfect, I assume it's AI now.
Right. But a slightly grainy, unedited iPhone photo of your actual team standing in front of your branded van with your city's skyline in the background, that suddenly carries immense psychological weight.
Because it's obviously real.
Yes. Unpolished, genuine videos of a founder talking about their craft, or highly specific customer case studies with real names attached. These are becoming premium marketing assets. Authenticity is your ultimate competitive edge long before any universal AI-free standard is ever agreed upon.
It's almost ironic. In an era of hyper-advanced, flawless AI generation, the most valuable marketing asset you have is proving you exist in the messy physical world.
It's the new premium on being human.
Okay, so let's say you've successfully navigated both of these hurdles. You've optimized your structured data for the AI bots. You've established deep trust with the human buyers using genuine evidence, and it works.
You're getting the traffic.
Yeah, a flood of highly qualified traffic hits your business. How does your internal team actually handle that volume without completely breaking down? Because, I mean, tech stacks are already overflowing.
This is where we have to shift our focus internally, turning from external marketing to back office operations, because AI is moving out of the marketing department and directly into the nervous system of the company.
TechCrunch had a fascinating report on exactly this, looking at what Salesforce is doing with Slack. They're rolling out 30 new AI features.
30, that's a huge update.
And we're not just talking about basic chat summarization here. We're talking about reusable AI skills, desktop context awareness, and crucially, coordination with outside services using something called MCP, the Model Context Protocol.
Yes, MCP is massive.
And keeping in mind that there are about 1 million businesses currently running on Slack, this is a profound shift. Slack is transforming from a communication app into a heavy-duty execution layer. But explain MCP for us, because that seems to be the linchpin here. How does that elevate this beyond just another chatbot?
MCP is the game changer for what we call app fatigue.
Oh, I suffer from that daily.
We all do. Right now, knowledge workers spend a huge portion of their day just toggling between tabs. You get a message in Slack that a deal closed, so you open your CRM tab to update the stage. Then you open your billing software tab to generate the invoice. Then you open your email tab to draft the welcome message.
The cognitive load of constantly context switching is just exhausting.
It is. You're just a human API manually carrying data between silos.
That is painfully accurate. I am a human API.
Exactly. What the Model Context Protocol does is create a standardized way for the AI inside Slack to securely reach into those external databases and act on your behalf.
So it does the tab switching for you.
Yes. So with these new rollouts, you could just type into Slack, close the deal with Paco, and prep the onboarding. Using MCP, the AI agent securely connects to Salesforce, updates the deal stage itself, connects to your billing platform to draft the invoice, and drops the welcome email into your drafts folder for review.
All without you ever leaving the chat window.
Without leaving Slack.
It's the promise of actually getting your time back, turning Slack into a universal remote control for your entire software stack.
Which sounds like a dream.
It does. But this brings up a glaring vulnerability. If you've wired your entire company to autonomously execute commands based on incoming data, what happens when that data is completely garbage?
Ah, yes. The garbage in, garbage out problem.
Right. What if the leads your shiny new automated ad systems are feeding into this efficient machine are actually entirely fake?
That's the dark side of hyperautomation. The faster your machine runs, the faster it can drive you off a cliff if the steering is broken.
And it brings us to a brilliant warning piece from Search Engine Land about the danger of junk leads. They specifically looked at heavily automated ad tools like Google's Performance Max or PMax.
The Max is everywhere right now.
It is. These are tools designed to use machine learning to optimize your ad spend across every channel automatically. But Search Engine Land warns that these incredibly advanced algorithms are actually getting fooled on a massive scale.
It's a huge problem for advertisers right now.
I have to admit, I find this confusing. If these algorithms are backed by billions of dollars of computing power, why are they so easily tricked into delivering bad leads?
Well, it comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding of how machine learning works in advertising. An automated bidding system doesn't inherently know what a good customer looks like in the real world.
It just knows numbers.
Exactly. It only knows what you, the marketer, tell it to optimize for. And the problem is, too many marketers are feeding these systems loosely defined micro-conversions.
Here's where it gets really interesting. How would you explain that failure point? Like, what's happening under the hood?
Okay, think about setting up a Performance Max campaign, like training a hyper-eager, incredibly energetic golden retriever to play fetch.
Okay, I like dogs. I'm with you.
Your ultimate goal is for the dog to bring back the brand new, expensive tennis ball. In our world, that represents a real, high-paying customer who actually books a consultation. But finding that tennis ball in the tall grass takes a lot of time and effort.
Right. It's hard to find a paying customer.
Now, suppose you decide to help the dog learn by rewarding smaller, easier actions. You decide that anytime the dog brings back a dirty stick or a crumpled leaf, you'll still pet it and give it a treat.
Because it brought something back.
Yes. In the ad world, these are micro-conversions. Someone viewing your contact page for 3 seconds, clicking a social media icon, or staying on the homepage for a minute.
Just minor engagement metrics.
Right. Well, that golden retriever is no idiot. It quickly realizes that hunting through the tall grass for the elusive tennis ball is hard work. But picking up loose trash and dirty sticks from the yard gets the exact same treat.
Oh, no.
So it stops looking for the ball entirely, it optimizes for efficiency, and just starts burying you in sticks.
That makes perfect sense. The AI optimizes for the path of least resistance.
Completely.
So if you tell the algorithm that a user clicking the Facebook icon in your footer is a success, it's going to aggressively hunt down the cheapest, easiest users, or even bots who perform those meaningless actions.
Yep, it stops looking for the person ready to spend $5,000 because finding a human with a credit card is hard. Finding a bot to click a button is cheap.
So you end up paying for a mountain of dirty sticks while your ad dashboard is glowing green, telling you you're having the best month ever.
Meanwhile, your sales team is drowning in junk data, and your revenue is completely flat.
Wow. So how do we fix the golden retriever?
The Search Engine Land piece provides a fantastic, rigorous framework they call the BrightLead framework to completely audit your setup. It's a 4-step process.
Okay, let's hear it.
Step 1. Pick one true primary conversion. Just one. That should be a highly qualified lead, a completed demo, or an actual sale. That is your tennis ball, and it's the only thing the algorithm should be primarily optimizing toward.
Be ruthlessly specific about the final goal.
Exactly. Step 2. You can keep a very small set of support signals, but only if they are strictly tied to revenue, not engagement, revenue.
Okay, that makes sense.
Step 3. You have to take an axe to your vanity metrics. Remove page views, remove video view duration, remove social clicks. Unless you have hard statistical data proving that a specific microaction reliably predicts a final sale, do not let the algorithm see it. Stop rewarding the dog for bringing back sticks.
Cut the noise entirely.
And finally, step 4. You must constantly run a reality check between your platforms. This raises an important question you really have to ask your team this week. Does our advertising dashboard look amazing on paper, while our actual sales pipeline in the CRM is full of junk?
Right.
You have to ensure that better platform performance is actually producing better lead quality in the real world. If the metrics are divorced from revenue, the AI is just chasing the wrong target.
That's such a vital reality check because, like we said, it doesn't matter how efficiently your Slack MCP integration processes a new lead if the Performance Max algorithm is just feeding it automated garbage.
It all connects.
It really does. So let's take a breath and recap the journey we just went on because we covered a lot of ground today.
You certainly did.
You, the listener, are now armed with a much clearer picture of how this landscape is shifting. You know that real heavy budget is actively shifting toward AI discovery and answer engine optimization. And even though the total traffic volume is still currently small, you understand the necessity of building that structured data moat now to capture the first mover advantage.
You also know why the current technical labeling systems like C2PA are struggling, and why proving your humanity with unpolished, contextual, verifiable evidence is becoming a premium marketing asset.
We looked at how operations are evolving, with protocols like MCP turning chat apps into central AI nervous systems that execute commands across your whole software stack. And finally, we gave you the exact framework to stop your automated ad systems from enthusiastically hunting down dirty sticks and ruining your sales pipeline.
Applying this framework is exactly how you stay ahead of the curve. It's about understanding the actual mechanisms beneath all the buzzwords.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to chew on, something that builds on everything we just explored.
Okay, let's hear it.
We mentioned earlier that the platforms are building these branded business agents that function as virtual sales associates to parse structured data, right?
Right.
And we also know that everyday consumers are starting to use their own personal AI shopping agents to scour the web for the best deals.
The consumer side AI assistant.
Right. So project this forward just a year or two. What happens when your potential customer tells their personal AI shopping agent to go find a software subscription or a local service, and that agent lands on your website, which is now guarded by your brand's AI sales associate?
Oh, wow.
What happens when these two hyper-intelligent machines start independently negotiating pricing, service terms, and delivery schedules with each other completely in the background in a fraction of a second?
It's the ultimate evolution of agentic commerce. The machines aren't just parsing data anymore, they're transacting.
Exactly. In a fully agentic world where your robot is talking to their robot, where does human persuasion actually end and machine-to-machine haggling begin? Because if the robot building inspector is the one deciding if the house gets sold, we might have to entirely rethink what it means to close a deal.
It's a fascinating horizon to watch.
Right.
And one that will definitely require a totally new set of strategies.
It absolutely will. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the metrics, keep proving your humanity, and keep diving deep into the changes happening around you. We'll catch you next time.